let's write down the IUPAC names of these three molecules. We have a propene chain, that's our main chain. We have a methyl group as a substituent and also a chloro substituent is there. We have a double bond and therefore the numbering has to start from here left to right. 1, 2, 3. Between chlorine and methyl, chlorine wins in alphabetical order and therefore that needs to be mentioned first. Therefore 3 chloro, 2 methyl, prop, because we have 3 carbon atoms in the parent chain. 3 chloro, 2 methyl, prop. You can directly mention it as propene instead of giving it as prop 1ene. The reason is we have a 3 carbon system here. If you mention the double bond, let's say at 2 position, then you have to do the numbering from right to left. So therefore the double bond will always come at 1 position in this case. Therefore no need to mention prop 1ene, but mentioning it that way is also okay. So you can also skip the numbers because there is only one way of putting the double bond here. For example 2, let us say the following. We do have a chiral center here, but let us presume that it is a racemic mixer and therefore we are not going to worry about the RS notation right now for this example. Also, let us not use the Cis-Trans convention. You can use the Cis-Trans convention here thinking that okay, we have 2 methyl groups here on the same side, so we would call it cis. But then if you assign the priorities as per the Kahn-Ingold-Prelog rules, then you will realize that your higher priorities will come on the opposite side. And therefore, I prefer to use the EZ convention for these 2 examples. I don't want to use the Cis-Trans convention. If you'd like to go with the Cis-Trans convention, that is completely okay. But however, the way I am going to name for these 2 molecules is I am going to use the EZ convention to avoid any possible confusion. So for number 2, let us start numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At 3 position we have a methyl group, 4 position we have a iodo group and 2 position we have a double bond. Also let us assign the priorities as per Kahn-Ingold-Prelog rules. So on this side of the double bond, carbon's atomic number is higher than hydrogen and therefore that gets top priority. Hydrogen gets the low priority. On that side, the first atom that is directly attached is carbon. But after that we have 3 hydrogens here. But on this side we have one hydrogen, 1 iodine and then 1 methyl group. And therefore that gets the top priority. So here the priorities are this way. This is 1, this is 2. The priorities are on the opposite side. When priorities are on the opposite side, that means it is E. Therefore, the IUPAC name for this molecule is 2E in parenthesis. At 4 position, we have a iodo group. So that needs to be mentioned first. And then 3 methyl. We are just following the alphabetical order. That's why the iodo group is mentioned first. We have 5 carbon atoms in the parent chain, therefore pent 2E. This 2E signifies the geometrical isomerism at position 2. This 2 represents the double bond. This is the way we do the IUPAC nomenclature. Whenever there is a geometrical isomerism is there and considering EZ convention. For this particular example, let me show you in opsin how the structure will look like. Now let's move to example 3. So for example 3, once again we do have a chiral center here, but let us presume that it is a racemic mixer. Therefore let us not worry about the chiral center there. Let's do the naming. First let us assign the numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We should not do the numbering on the other way around, because if we do the numbering on the other way around, the double bond will come at 3 position. What I mean is we shouldn't start from here 1, 2, 3. That is wrong. Then we will be giving higher number for the double bond. We shouldn't do that. So numbering is done. That's our parent chain. And then assign the priorities as per the Cahn-Ingold-Prelog rules. On this side, carbon gets the higher priority. Atomic number is 6. Hydrogen gets the least priority. Atomic number is 1. On that side, obviously, hydrogen gets the least priority. And here we have a carbon. Therefore, that gets the top priority. Once again, the priorities are on the opposite side. That means E. Therefore, the IUPAC name for this molecule is 2E once again, 4-fluoro-pent, because we have 5 carbon atoms in the parent chain, 2E. That's the correct IUPAC name for this molecule. So for example 2, let us say instead of like this, the structure is mentioned like this in a question paper, let us say. Then you have to assign the RS notation. So let's do the naming involving RS notation for this particular structure. So once again number it. At 4 we have a chiral center. We need to assign the RS notation at 4. So we already assigned the priorities here. So this is E. So there is carbon here. So that gets the top priority. We do have a hydrogen here that is not shown. So this is 2. On this side, we have a methyl group that gets 2 because this carbon is attached to an iodine. Plus we have a hydrogen and we have another carbon atoms. Therefore, this gets the top priority. So our priorities are on the opposite side. To describe the RS notation correctly at 4, we once again have to use the Cahn-Ingold-Prelog rules. Iodine's atomic number is 53 and therefore that gets top priority 1. We do have a hydrogen here that is behind. That would get the least priority, that is 4. The chiral carbon here is attached to the methyl group on this side, and here we have a carbon, but that is once again connected to 2 other carbon atoms. Therefore, that would get top priority. Therefore, this is 2 and this will be 3. And you can imagine that the iodine is towards me. So that means this is 1 here and the hydrogen is behind. So 4 here. So this will be 2 and this will be 3. We cannot assign RS configuration like this. We need to bring the low priority group at the bottom. So let's do a swap between these two. Therefore 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is clockwise. That means R, but we did a swap. That means the original one is S. Therefore the correct IUPAC name for this molecule is 4S, and then we need to mention the geometrical isomerism at position 2, that is 4S2E. So this is in parenthesis, and then 4 iodo 3 methyl pent 2ene. That's the correct IUPAC name for this molecule, including RS configuration at position 4.